Through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him. He's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's rewriting the rules. A new dawn's day. From the hands of the few to the people's way. Say goodbye to all chains, embrace the new. A financial revolution, fair and true. For the workers, the dreamers, side by side. In Trump's new era, let freedom rise. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people.
Time to ditch the rich. Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Kryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. A happy Trump Day to everyone out there. Right, and look, we've got two kitties. We've got a Tommy over there sneaking up in the corner. But how is everyone doing on this fine Wednesday? Good morning, Mile High Trish. Good morning, Kukla. Good morning, A Joyful Voice. Do not worry, A Joyful Voice. Way behind on crypto. You're in the right place, and it's a good time. It's a good time to be learning the basics. Things are getting a lot easier. We're getting a lot more clarity. I think that folks are going to have a far easier time going through that beginning phase of learning crypto now than they would have, say, 5 years ago. Just because there's so many more resources out there. They've made things a lot easier and a lot more user-friendly in many cases. And so I think you're in the perfect place. Happy to have you, Joyful Voice. Yes. No, Andy, and man, there is just so much to talk about on the precious metals front. I really, it's tough on Wednesdays because I'm usually very busy during Pops' stream. I'm trying to finish up things for work, and then I'm trying to get ready for this. And I very often get distracted, and I'm a little less prepared for the stream because I want to hear what Andy has to say that day. And I definitely, after the past couple of Andy conversations, I know I sent him a message the other day. I'm going to try to get a conversation with Andy. I really want to have a crypto precious metals sit down with Andy Schechtman. Hopefully fully recorded and broadcasted for everyone, because I think there's a lot of very interesting nuances and points that would be better with Andy to really discuss them. And so I'm hoping to have that in the near future for everybody. A Joyful Voice, having trouble with the Substack on it, but I thought it would automatically come to email. And so A Joyful Voice, the Substack, and why I put it out there is for when I put together large written things, or I'm going through something that folks want in the written form. And so on that one, absolutely looking for more ideas of different articles on Substack that folks want to have there, things that you can dig through, that you can read into. You can go through all my citations, stuff like that. And so absolutely want to include more there on that front. Absolutely. Because, yeah, it's very helpful. Substack is not my favorite little social media, but it's very helpful for any type of written article. It has a great little comment section. It allows for everything to be hyperlinked. That's really what Substack is good for, is when I've got a bunch of information or I've got something in particular or something someone's interested in, we can put it in there and then everyone can easily access it. They can cite it if they wanted to say, use it in a post or something of that nature. But yeah, AHD, good morning, good morning, good morning, musical lady and crazy Chester. Good morning, Deborah. I hope you're having an awesome midway to the week. So an awesome week this far. Good morning, Barry Horton. Yeah, my electrician. Everybody did. Everybody came running in at the same time. All right. AHD, do you see a path to get to crypto metals, silver/gold on a crypto level? AHD, well, let me make certain. I think that I understand your question on this one. The path towards metals becoming tokenized or cryptocurrencies. And AHD, absolutely. I see that path already happening. And actually, we're going to talk about it because Tether, and so Tether, the largest stablecoin provider on the planet, Tether also offers Tether Gold, a tokenized form of gold ounces. Now, I don't tend to promote Tether Gold because, well, Tether Gold and a lot of Tether's capital is held in China. And so I intentionally try not to cover Tetherbit so much because, well, there are problems when all of those supposed dollars are in bank accounts that are held by banks controlled by the CCP. I'm not a huge fan of that. But Tether Gold is massively buying bullion at this point in time. And while I disagree with Tether, the company, the method they're using is the same as Pax Gold. What they're doing is they're providing for the ability for you to tokenize. And actually, thanks to community member a couple weeks ago, and I feel very, very bad. I know the name. I wrote it down somewhere on exactly who had told me to start looking at this because it was a new offering from Kinesis. I can actually point you to a very, 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 very on point way of looking at how tokenized metals are going to work because Kinesis came out with it. It's not exactly the final, but it's very, very close. And so let me pull this up. We're going to get distracted today because this one was a very awesome recommendation from the community to look at. I had looked at Kinesis before, and they didn't have this same type of offering at that point in time. They had it in a very rudimentary form. But before I jump into that, please do remember that the content in this podcast is for education and entertainment purposes, not intended to provide financial advice. Consult with a financial professional. A very important one before this, because I think this may be at this point one of the best ways of showing folks what it's all about. And so, mint gold and earn for life. What is the Minter's Yield? The Minter's Yield rewards you for creating new Kinesis gold currency. Earn a yield paid in gold every month for life. And so you will mint Kinesis gold and silver. You will mint KAU, which would be the gold derivative, or CAG, which would be the silver. These are, you send physical precious metals. You are then rewarded for having minted those onto the blockchain in perpetuity. Your precious metals are held inside of a bank vault. A third-party auditor comes by and they verify how many gold ounces are in the vault. This occurs on a regular basis. And that means that essentially for every 1 gold ounce or 1 silver ounce held inside of the vault, 1 digital representation of it is minted. It's created. And so it's a 1-to-1. 1 digital CAG equals 1 physical silver ounce. And this is probably one of the best ways of looking at that minting process right now. And I am not endorsing Kinesis, guys, just so you know. As I'm doing this, I'm using them as a way of showing you how it works, how it's going to work going into the future more and more. And so, in this sense, what you're doing is you are going in and you're saying, hey, I have got 10 silver ounces. I am going to send you to the bank vault 10 silver ounces. When you receive those 10 silver ounces are going to be placed inside of the vault, and I am going to be issued 10 blockchain originated tokens that are going to say, hey, this is Zester. Zester has 10 silver ounces sitting inside of the vault. And in that way, we can never have this incident of paper silver or paper gold, because there always has to be a physical representative behind that digital token. And so it's a great way of kind of looking at how they're going about it. And so in many ways, AHT, this is one of those paths where how you're going to see gold and silver go from only existing in your gun safe, from now existing in a digital form, where you're able to make payments with it, where you're able to earn interest off of it, where you're able to loan it, sell it, spend it, do anything you want with it, without having to go and pay premiums or find someone who's willing to purchase your silver bullion. It'll be as easy as a click on your phone, and bam, you will have money to pay rent, but you'll also be able to keep all your money in a gold or silver backed currency at all points in time, so that you're not having to worry about, well, what, say, the central bank of the United States is up to. And so this one we're going to be talking more and more about it. We're going to have to do a deep dive on Kinesis, but after folks bringing it up and me doing more research on it, and then you asking that question today, AHD, I felt like that leads directly into an explanation of essentially how that works, and shows that it's happening right now. This is not something that you need to wait for, but I would suggest waiting. I think that this process is we're going to get more and more options, more companies offering it, and it's only going to become a smoother process going into the future. All right. Good to see you. I was supposed to actually have a haircut right before the stream this morning. And so I think, and I was texting back and forth with the barber. I think I'm going to be getting a haircut between now and Whiskey and Wisdom this evening, but we'll wait and see. I think he had some stuff come up. Andy rocked it this morning. I'm going to have to check that one out, but he owes the swear jar a lot of money. Well, luckily his silver is good right now. Musical Lady, be awesome to have Andy on and do precious metals and crypto sit down. Absolutely. I think that would be a very, very good one for folks. Highly informative. Good morning, Doug. Good morning, Anthony. All right. Let's go ahead, though, guys. Let's jump into some of our news for the day. We don't have that much, and I will say, actually, let me do one thing before we jump in to the news today, because we were going to be talking about prediction markets. Specifically, I was going to be using Gemini's prediction markets, and we were going to actually place a bet today. And so I had talked about on Monday, we were either going to do staking or we were going to do a prediction market and talk about prediction markets. Well, in the interim time, and I think this is a great PSA, someone or some scammer or someone out there tried to access my Gemini account. And so I am not able to go through and use my Gemini account at the moment because it's under a 72-hour lock. The reason that I wanted to bring this up is, well, I feel like it's probably very relevant to other folks out there who either have had someone try to get into one of their accounts or are worried about the potential of someone trying to get into their accounts. And so on Monday, someone attempted to log into my Gemini account and they were not me. Now, luckily, I had my two-factor authentications all set up. They were absolutely incapable of getting into the account. And even if they had managed to get into the account, I had a different two-factor for actually being able to withdraw crypto. But the reason I bring this up is because, okay, I'm fine. In this case, my crypto is perfectly safe. I utilized two-factor authentication on login via email and two-factor authentication via a two-factor authentication app for withdrawal of crypto. And so that's what I have set up on mine. Now, they were incapable of getting through the email. But because this attempt was made on my Gemini account, Gemini locked my account for 72 hours. That means I was not able, and I'm still not able, to withdraw my crypto or anything of that nature. Now, I will say Gemini does, during something like this, my Gemini card still works because I didn't lock it. I'm still earning rewards off of purchases, but I cannot remove my crypto from Gemini until sometime, I think, on maybe Thursday or Friday. And so I wanted to tell everyone this as a warning, essentially. You can set up your two factors. Make certain you use your two-factor authentication. That's what verified that this person could not get in to my Gemini account. But there's another lesson to be learned here. Even though my crypto is safe, I am locked out of access of it. And so this is another one of those different reasons that it is better. If I needed that crypto or the price of that crypto was skyrocketing or who knows what, if I needed it, I cannot have it right now. And this is yet again another reason to look towards hardware wallets and things of that nature, because this can't happen to them. But thought that everyone should get that update. Use your two-factor authentications. Use more than one. Don't go tying everything to the same two-factor authentication, because if you tie everything to, say, your email, if someone hacks your email, then they've gained access to all your other accounts. And so, as a PSA for everyone, remember, use different forms of two-factor authentication on different services. If you have the ability to use multiple 2FAs, use them. It's a pain in the butt when you're trying to do things, but it can save your money. And so, in this circumstance, the person never had a chance of actually getting the crypto. They were never going to get anything out of it. There's no way they were going to manage to hack my email and my two-factor authentication and know all my passwords all at exactly the same time. It wasn't going to happen. But my crypto is still locked from me. And so a great thing, I think a great lesson for everyone to take their own lessons from. Whether it's a matter of increasing your own personal security, utilize two-factor authentication, take 2FA seriously, but also to understand what, even when you're safe, you're still being punished to a degree. Because if I needed that money right now, I can't have it. And so wanted to let everyone know on that one, a great thing to look into or to think about as you're going through the process. It's more than just having your crypto stolen. These different steps and the things that you're taking to secure the future of your investment are not only about ensuring no one can steal it, they're also ensuring that you have access when you want it. Now, I don't have any intention of changing the amount of crypto that I'm holding on Gemini on account of this. My security worked. And so I'm not going to worry about it. But I do think there's still a takeaway here. If something like this were to have occurred to, say, all of my funds or say to funds that I specifically needed immediate access to, this would have become a far bigger issue than it is. So wanted everyone to have that heads up. Yes, Sleep Master, do you use? Absolutely. I use as many two-step verifications as they will let me. on just about every service. I will say I do not tend to double dip email and phone. I typically do a app and either email or phone. And so I just try to make certain that every single application that say they can gain access to the account by hacking my email, but they're unable to withdraw because they can't also gain access to the authentication app. That is the one that's what I tend to try and use. And it's highly unlikely anyone's going to manage to gain access to all your devices at the exact same time, unless you did something really silly, like use the same password or everything of that nature. And so absolutely, Sleep Master, two-factor is the way to go. Absolutely. And I do highly recommend using two different sources that aren't accessible from the same device is another great way of breaking it down. And so say having a phone that has access to the two-factor authentication, and then say having a laptop that maybe has access to the email account that holds that two-factor. Things of that nature are just other ways of segregating that information. And by forcing essentially any hacker to say, well, I have to go through a lot of steps. And when it comes down to it, guys, they're not going to. I'm certain that as soon as the guy got into and tried to get into my account and saw that, and I can verify he's never tried again. The second he saw two-factor authentication, he probably immediately said, screw it. I'm going to go try and find somebody else who doesn't have these things set up. You're not trying to make yourself bulletproof. You're trying to make yourself the worst option. If you were to imagine it, scammers are chasing after the weak antelope. They're not trying to spend their time breaking into Fort Knox. They're trying to pick off all of the crippled antelope. And those are the folks that don't have two-factor and things of that nature. And so just the PSA of the day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I use passkey to access Gemini? Barry Horton, I do have a passkey set up on Gemini for fast login between my phone and computer. I would say on passkeys, they can be a little ornery. And so I prefer two-factor authentication over the passkeys. Passkeys are very simple. They're very easy. It's simplicity, but they've been weird for me a few times. I have found the best success to be around specifically using two factors. The two-factor authentication apps, though, I will warn everyone, when you set up a two-factor authentication app, like Google Authentication as an example, be very on top of your login information and credentials for those applications. Be very on top of it. The reason I say that is because, say you have an issue with your Google account, which is connected to your Google Authenticator app or anything of that nature. Now you can end up having unintentionally created a compounding problem. And so I highly recommend with authentication apps, be very, very serious about login information and etc. Do not allow those to be things that are saved passwords. Those are written down passwords. Those are the types of things that you write down on a very serious notepad. And then you'll never have an issue. Right. Yes, absolutely. And so Epicenter LLC, have you ever heard of someone being able to hack your cell phone SIM card? I think it happened to someone from Caleb and Brown. Epicenter LLC, this is one of the most common thefts when it comes to phones. This is known as a SIM swap. This one is extremely, extremely prevalent. It is very easy to actually do it to someone. And so absolutely, you want to take that very seriously. There's a very famous story actually down here, and I got to meet the person who it happened to, Michael Turpin. known, I believe, as the godfather of crypto. Michael Turpin lives down here in Puerto Rico, a part of a bunch of different crypto projects. He beyond wealthy at this point, I suppose you could say. But Michael Turpin is most famous for having had about $20 million of cryptocurrency stolen from him. And after having met him, I'd have to say that makes sense. He's yeah. I'll be nice. But he had about $20 million of crypto stolen from him by a 13-year-old. A 13-year-old conducted a SIM swap attack on Michael Turpin and stole about $20 million of crypto. Now, in this situation, Michael was very lucky that it was a 13-year-old. But it's a clear indication of how easy this is. How easy this is to do. And so, yes, SIM swaps are extremely important and are extremely important hack to be concerned about. That's the reason, though, Deborah, on these, do not connect everything to your cell phone number. That's why you need to make certain you've got an email, you've got an authentication app. If you're using a cell phone, you're not using everything tied to that number. Because yes, absolutely, your SIM can be mirrored or can be swapped. And in doing so, it gains access to your phone number for that hacker. And by having your phone number, if all of your authentication is through text message, well, then that person who just SIM swapped, they just got the keys. And so absolutely, that's why you do. Make certain you're using other ones, or guys, just get it over to a hardware wallet and you don't have to worry about any of it. And so that was my biggest takeaway from all of it, was just once again that reiteration that I would have just been so much safer having it over there. Now, it's all fine, nothing lost, but it's still an important lesson to always remember. It's not just that you're going to lose money, it's also that you're going to lose access and availability of capital. That's not important when it's not money you need. But as we start to enter into a world where these technologies are more tied together, it's going to start to become more of something to be concerned about. Musical Lady, minting sounds interesting for us precious metals folks, where bullion dealers cannot buy our silver due to capital constraints. So this would be a good alternative. Absolutely. And that's something that I had thought about asking today of folks. How many folks out there that have silver or gold want to sell some right now? I do. I want to sell some silver right now. I want to sell. Not a lot, but I want to sell some. How many other folks out there are in the same category? How many folks out there would like to sell a little of their gold or a little of their silver right now? I'm curious. Yes, my church like Zester. I wrote Kinesis down the other day. Research. Now it is. My church Kinesis was they have massively increased their options. They're ahead of Glint. They are Glint and Kinesis are in the exact same race. Kinesis is now in the lead. Absolutely is leading on that one. They've got far closer to the right answer. Oh, Kathy H. Thought I'd give little Zia some support. Wealth and all. Thank you so much, Kathy. You're much appreciated. I hope you learned some good new things. Yep. Yep, exactly there. Musical Lady. I do want to, but my local bullion dealer cannot buy right now, can only sell. You're seeing the problem. You're seeing the problem. The current precious metals market does not work. That's a huge problem. I want to sell. I mean, how do we honestly know, Musical Lady, that the price is even accurate right now? Because you can't sell. If you can only buy, then the price can't go down, right? You can't sell. And so I really do. I think it's the perfect example. And honestly, I kind of want to get some of the precious metals guys and I want to hold their feet to the fire. Because, all right, I want my $113 right now. I want my $113. And if anything, more than anything, I want proof that I can get $113. I don't even want to sell a lot of them. I want to sell one. I want to sell one because I want to see $113 get handed to me for it. Ultimately, I don't believe that it'll happen. And I don't. And I find that to be very, very frustrating. And I think that there needs to be, I think that a lot of the gold and silver, the really, really hard line gold and silver, there's never going to be a better version than physical. I really think that I need that they need to give us an answer on that one. Because for the all physical type folks, it's not real. It's not real. Like, this is not actually worth $113. That's what I'm saying, essentially. I guess would be the short version of what I'm getting to right now, is that it's not actually worth it. The price says that. That's the price I can buy silver at, $115.60. I can buy silver at that. Well, actually, I can't even buy it at that price. I'll still have to pay a flipping premium. And so, yeah, there's a problem here because this doesn't work. Yes, our silver is massively more, but it's only massively more if you're buying. You can't sell. You can't actually get your profits out in full, at least. And so this is something I'm very concerned about where this is going right now, because essentially, unless silver and gold and everything else start adopting the technology like beyond faster, this silver and gold spike is going to crash, because it's going to crash the second that somebody like me or somebody, like enough of us, go out and say, hey, we want paid. Because we're not going to get this. We're going to sell for $100. We're going to sell $15 below spot just to be able to liquidate the silver. And even that is optimistic. And so, yeah, I've got questions on that one. I was very curious to hear if other folks are in the same category where you do. You're seeing the problem. I want to sell. I want to sell. I don't want to keep holding my silver. Not all of it. I'd like to sell it, but I can't. All right, let me try to find that Kathy H-bar question. I got you. Why does Ledger make you put H-bar on another account platform? Do you know when Ledger expect to bring H-bar on board? No, that's exactly how blockchains work. And so, Kathy, H-bar is a separate blockchain. Bitcoin is a blockchain. Ethereum is a blockchain. XRP Ledger is a blockchain. You need a separate wallet or a separate account for every single blockchain. And so, on your Ledger, H-bar will always be separate. Unless, and there are ways for this to not happen, you can create mirrored assets where you can hold Bitcoin. So you can hold wrapped Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain. And so there are ways for you to essentially hold native coins from different blockchains on the same blockchain. But effectively speaking, Kathy, H-bar or Hedera Hashgraph, they operate an entirely different blockchain. And that means you need an account for that blockchain. And so, yes, that one is very confusing, though, Kathy. I understand why that throws you off, because it is. But that is not any different than Ethereum or Bitcoin. And so Hedera is in the same kind of category. They're onboarded with Ledger essentially in the same way that the big boys are. But no, I'm happy to jump on that one. That's a very, very good one. That's a good question too, Kathy, because that touches on a few different important points. All right, yeah, look at Glint. I just sold. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Right there, Glint, Kinesis, tokenized. gold and silver, you can sell. You can enjoy these massive price increases. All of us physical folks, we can't. And so what I really think it's drawing is that distinction between digital gold and silver and physical gold and silver. Because the digital gold and silver guys, they can sell for $115.60. I hope that maybe folks are seeing the power of the new financial, where we're going, because very soon this is not going to be a problem. This is not going to be a problem very, very soon. And so I hope folks can kind of see the power of this system and where we're going, because we won't have this. We won't have that. It will very easily, I will be able to get my $115.60. And then I'll be able to hold on to 99.9% of my silver, knowing that I can actually get its value out. I really do mean it in the sense of I just want to sell it. I want to see someone hand me that much money for this. And honestly, if someone would do that, I don't need to sell more. I'll already feel better. All right. Musical lady, amen, Zester. Everyone in precious metals keeps preaching to invest in precious metals, and now we cannot sell part of our silver stash right now. Hold their feet to the fire, Zester. Absolutely. Because, yes, right now, many folks could be in a position where they are capable of fully retiring. It's done. They have 6-7x'd on their silver with their entire retirement fund. They've got millions of dollars now in value on a screen, and they could be set for life. They could just be done. Just done worrying. Just done. And yet, the system doesn't actually allow that in its current form. It does when you work with companies and things like that, though. And so that one's just is. That one's frustrating. I'd really like to have a conversation with some of the serious, it's got to be physical, it's got to be in your hands, precious metals guys, and say, okay, well, it happened. You know, it happened. You were right. The price is up that much. Okay, give me my money now. But we all know how the answer to that is going to go, unfortunately. All right. Epicenter LLC, Deborah, question. So resetting passwords would be easy for a hacker to do for your accounts. Does an authentication app not work for a hacker? And so, Epicenter LLC, that's why it is very, very important to make sure and separate these things. You do not want your authentication app tied to the email address that allows you to reset passwords for your account. That's where it is. It's more a matter of separating those from each other. Just making certain that it's not the same login for multiple accounts, essentially. Just make certain that they are independent. Ways I love to do this is to create like a little burner email address on your phone. You know, you just create a little BS email address on your phone that's only accessible from that phone. It's not attached to anything else. It's not attached to any accounts or services or anything. It just so happens to be the email that receives the authentications for say this other account that you use on the computer, not even on the same device. It makes it very easy for you to just personally segregate what's controlling what, because you just know it's this device, it's that device. It's, you know, I use the computer for this. I really like doing it in that way, just from a Zester point of view. Then I know what to do. Okay, I need to go make a move. I need to have this device, this email open, and I need this phone number ready to send back. And that does remind me, with my phone issues, that's another thing to keep in mind. If you have phone issues on the phone number that has authentications on them, you got to keep those things in mind. You want to make certain that you don't suddenly lose access to your funds because you lost one part of the puzzle. Yes, you want to make certain that there are more follow-throughs. Arcade, damn it! You just proved a point. I'm sorry on that one because I love my precious metals and I love holding them. I want to physically hold them, and I don't plan on not holding precious metals even in the future. Like I will still have some at my house in my physical possession, but I am very very excited for when I get to actually go back and forth on these types of things because I imagine I'm not alone right now. I have got a lot of capital that's worthless. It's absolutely worthless because I cannot convince anyone to pay me $115.60 for this silver ounce right now. It's not going to happen. Unless I am finding some person, but I'm not going to go to a coin shop. They're not going to give it to me. Most coin shops aren't even going to buy it at any price. Even if I told them I'd sell it to them for 90 bucks, they're going to say, no, we don't care. We'll sell you silver, but we're not buying yours. And so, yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating on that point. And it shows the power of things like Glint. Yeah, Trish, absolutely correct. Because right now, your Glint, your Kinesis, your Pax Gold, your tokenized forms, your digital forms of precious metals are infinitely more valuable than your physical forms. Because I can get $115 on Glint right now. But I can't get $115 for this. And I think that maybe that might be one of the ways that a lot of people could wake up to the idea of why you want for physical to go away. You want it to be digital. I don't know. I think that this whole craze right now may actually be what wakes everyone up to this massive, massive, holy cow. We actually want the tokenized gold and silver because the tokenized gold and silver, guys, like, I mean, here it is right now. I can literally go and look at it. I can see what people are getting for tokenized gold right now. And they can buy it and sell it. Guess what? I could right now, if my gold ounce is tokenized, it's worth $5,313.82 right now. I can have that money now. But I can't have that money if I have a physical gold ounce. I will never get $5,314. But if I had a Pax Gold, I will have my money immediately. It is liquid. It's actually sellable. And I don't even have to sell a whole ounce. I could sell half of a gold ounce of Pax Gold and get full price for it, spend my money, use my money. It really is the future. I know that I know that it seems so crazy when it's first thrown out there, but when you really start to dig into the logic and the reasoning behind these tokenized forms of precious metals, it's eye-opening because if you combine it where the folks like us that have precious physical metals, we're earning returns off of minting our physical. We're always capable of earning returns in the form of gold and silver. We're capable of selling, spending, utilizing our capital, earning interest, continuing to earn off of having been the minter. We serve a very important purpose in the process. Also, is what I mean. As the physical holders, we are not going to lose out entirely because of this. We just are a part of the future steps, where I do believe we're going to be heavily rewarded for being the ones that are minting these things. We're going to be the actual creators of tokenized gold and silver. And so we're going to get that return. We're going to get that reward, but it's becoming very obvious with what's going on right now why there's a problem. All right. Okay, so Stand for Truth. Is that Pax Gold on another wallet other than Glint? And so that Pax Gold is actually fully on the blockchain. It is on the Ethereum blockchain. And so that is, you can hold that in your own wallet. You can spend that wherever you want to. You can send that, redeem that, everything you want outside of any Glint app. I can hold Pax Gold on my Ledger hardware wallet. I can hold Pax Gold on my MetaMask software wallet. I could hold Pax Gold on a centralized exchange. I'm starting to feel like Dr. Seuss for some reason on that one. Epicenter LLC, do you have a computer solely for crypto? I do. I highly recommend old laptops to folks. Old laptops are very, very useful and very, very cheap. Just a thought on that one for folks out there. But I would highly recommend, old laptops are great. They don't have a lot of the crazy functionality. They don't have the security issues. Because no one's bothering trying to hack those old software services. It's kind of like the same idea where, the United States Nuclear Command for many, many decades continued to use some of the most antiquated computer equipment, still using they were pre-floppy disks. And the reason was nobody can hack that crap. And nobody's trying to. I love old laptops for that. Old laptops. Because most crypto things, there's so little need. You can run it on a toaster. And so that's a really good one. Just make certain, though, when you're doing something like that, don't go buying old laptops from, Craigslist and, things like that. You don't want to buy one that's hacked. You want one that was clean when you got it. But for 99% of folks, someone out there who has an old laptop that's been collecting dust in the back of something for many, many years. At least that's where I got mine. I got mine from, very, very old school laptops and things like that. And so, yes, they're great. They are great, great tools. Cheap tools. All right. Gold tops $5,300 as Tether hoards bullion and Coinbase promotes futures. Crypto is going all in on precious metals at the moment. Tether has increased its physical gold holdings up to 130 metric tons. That number can't be right. 130 metric tons. All right. While Coinbase promotes gold futures trading as gold tops $5,300 per ounce. And so, yeah, I thought this was an interesting one. I knew we were going to be talking precious metals, so I tossed this one on it. Hoards 130 tons of gold, aiming to become a gold central bank. Tether, which also issues the gold-backed stablecoin ZOT, has been accumulating gold as part of its reserves for some time, reporting $12 billion in exposure as of September 2025. The company holds 520,089 troy ounces of gold. Troy ounces. Roughly 16.2 metric tons. Separately from a broader reserve of 130 metric tons worth around 22 billion at current prices. Gold and crypto companies are becoming a little indistinguishable from each other. And so Tether buying massive amounts. Coinbase now offering future trading on gold. Gemini offering future trading on gold. We're seeing a combination occur. We've got the banks and the centralized exchanges that are merging into each other. We've got the gold and silver, the precious metals market, being massively funded by the cryptocurrency market. We're seeing it all come together. Gold and silver are tying in as tokenized assets. That's why crypto companies are buying them. They're not buying them for anything else. They're buying them to tokenize them. And they're going to make one buttload of money for having done so. Banks. We talked about this a little bit already. Banks fear a stablecoin bank run, Regulators see limited impact. Bank warns that stablecoins could siphon deposits from the banking system. But policy and regulatory experts say there's little evidence of it happening yet. The banks warn stablecoins, especially those paying yield, could pull deposits out of the banking system. Major U.S. bank Standard Chartered recently estimated in a research note that increasing stablecoin adoption could drain bank deposits. The report estimates that U.S. bank deposits will decrease by 1/3 of the stablecoin market cap, which stood at $308 billion at the time of writing, according to DeFi Llama. The debate has intensified as U.S. lawmakers weigh whether to prohibit interest on stablecoin holdings. We cannot let that happen. We cannot let them prohibit interest on stablecoin holdings. But under a proposed version of the Clarity Act, which has been delayed by protests from inside the crypto industry, despite banking sector support, banks argue that allowing yield-bearing stablecoins could accelerate deposit flight, while critics say the risk remains largely theoretical. This is absolutely an important debate. We talked about this in regards to the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act is now massively dropping in likelihood of passing on account of this. And so, according to Polymarket prediction markets, the likelihood of the Clarity Act passing has fallen from 70% to 50%. A coin toss, essentially. And a large part of it is coming around this debate on interest. The banks have always paid their bills off of earning money from you giving them your money. You give them capital, they collect the interest off of the capital, they pay you a pittance, banks make tons of money. They do not provide an actual service to this country. They have falsely created it because we have given them our money for so long. They have used that interest to buy controlling shares of industries. And so now they're essentially holding us hostage. What the banks are saying right here is that if we allow for interest off of stablecoins, the banks are going to go bankrupt. That's what they're really saying. They're really saying that if we do not allow them to collect all of the interest off of all of our capital, the banks are going to go bankrupt. And when they go bankrupt, everything's going to be worse. They're threatening us. Very, very, very clearly, it is a threat from the banking lobbies. It's not based off of anything more than the fact that the banks will no longer be able to continue perpetrating their financial crimes if they do not have the money earned off of all of our capital. And if they can no longer continue to perpetrate their crimes, they're going to go out of business. And when they go out of business, they're going to liquidate massive holdings and shares across wide different industries, and they're going to send the entire global economy into a depression. That's what they're arguing. If you really just wanted to not have to read the whole thing, that's what they're arguing. That's what the banks are arguing. Now, what regulators and crypto industry experts are saying is that all you're really doing is reallocating who's collecting the interest. Now, the actual person whose capital it is going to be earning the interest off of it. And so when Zach gets paid and Zach collects his paycheck and he puts his paycheck into a stablecoin, Zach, will be the one receiving the interest that banks were previously receiving. And, well, I don't see any problem there, but banks disagree. Banks see a pretty large problem right there. All right, Stand for Truth 2734. Is it safe to put money on stablecoins if they're paying us? Makes me nervous. Stand for Truth, you can receive 4% compounding interest on USDC by just holding it on the Coinbase exchange. I strongly believe that stablecoins, and I've had money in stablecoins for ever since stablecoins existed. And so Stand for Truth, I have very, very little doubt when it comes down to the means and the ways that stablecoins work. But they are a company that you have got to be extremely, extremely on top of. And so I do not keep money in Tether. That is USDT. I do not keep money in Tether. Not for long, but I will trade with Tether any day of the week. Love trading with Tether. But I'm not going to hold funds for the long term in the form of Tether because Tether is not actually based in the United States. It is US dollars that are not held inside of the United States. And so if I were going to be holding a stable coin right now for interest's sake, I would be holding USDC or RLUSD, the Ripple stablecoin, which is going to start having far, far more interest-bearing options in the near future, as long as we keep the banking industry and the banking lobby out of these decisions. And so absolutely stand for truth. I have no doubt when it comes down to the validity of the stable coins as a part of the future. Absolutely none. What I don't trust are the companies running these stable coins. And that's why USDC, it's a publicly traded company. It's run by Circle and Coinbase. They've got way too much to lose to mess this up. And they're far too heavily regulated to get away with but so much. And so I keep it in USDC. If I'm planning on holding stable coins in US dollar derived stable coins for a long time. And yeah, I have never had an issue. Yeah. There you go. Absolutely. Crooklyn XRP, CZ, and that would be Binance's CZ. He was the founder, creator, CEO for many, many years. Of course, until he had to go to a prison for a little while. But to be honest, he's a bit of a badass. CZ stated at Davos that LY customers withdrew $14 billion in 4 days from Binance. No bank on the planet could have withstood that type of withdrawal. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason it's possible to withstand things like that is because of the technology of the blockchain. It's exactly why. Because that money was always backed up. It was always backed up. And that's one of those really big distinctions between a bank and an exchange. Because, all right, remember, guys, banks are all about their quantitative easing, and all they actually do when they write a loan to you, the bank does not take money out. What the bank does is they write a letter to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve prints those dollars for them. They give you those dollars, and then they collect interest off them. The dollars were never even real. They printed money out of thin air, and they gave it to you, which screwed all of us at the same time, but it was never actually real. The money in the bank isn't there. There is no money in the bank. That's the difference between a centralized exchange. The centralized exchange actually has the money because they actually have the cryptocurrencies. They can't fudge that. And so when an exchange needs to have a bank run occurs on an exchange, no problem. Exchange just hands out the money. They've had it the whole time. They have the crypto. They have all of it. They just hand it to you. But it's very different when you go to a bank because the bank never had it. The bank never had the money. You gave them real money. The bank didn't give you real money. When you pay your bill, you pay your mortgage each month, you are providing the only real capital. Your money's real. Their money's not. And that is one of the big distinctions. And I'm glad you said that, Crook, because folks are going to wake up and they're going to learn these things. It's going to happen. And I hope folks start learning it quickly because there's a big difference here. And that's why CZ can go out there and he can say something like that because it's true. It's a fact. The bank couldn't handle that. The bank can't handle it. The bank couldn't handle cashing out an average middle-income American's retirement. The bank does not have that money. The bank has that money printed by the Federal Reserve in order to pay out the money to you. It was never real. And so, yeah, man, that is. I want to talk about something that always manages to get me off and running. It's talking about the banks. I am so excited for all of these bankers to not have a job. I am so darn excited because they have been leeches off of the American people and the global people for hundreds of years, thousands of years. Bankers have been nothing more than leeches, serving a purpose that never should have been needed, but was necessitated in the previous form. It was a necessity. You essentially had to have some form of banking. Now, we're still going to have quote unquote banks, but we're not going to have bankers controlling the financial system. And that's how it always should have worked. The idea of having someone that you pay to keep something safe is a good idea. That's a legitimate business. I will pay you as a bank to keep my money safe. That makes sense. It's all the other things that they do that don't make sense and never were needed, but that's how they make the money. I have a feeling that your bank is going to look a lot more like Brinks storage. You know, Brinks will store your money or store your precious metals. You pay a fee for storage. You can, pay to have it sent to you. All they do is keep it safe. I have a feeling that banks are going to start looking a lot more like that. A lot more like nothing more than you renting space in a big vault. All right, though, guys, looking at the time, we have passed the hour. Yeah, and I've been through most of the really important articles today. Guys, I'm hoping to do a prediction market. I think I'll be back into my account come Friday, and so I'm hoping to do one on prediction markets or on staking in the next couple of episodes. But regardless of what we'll be covering, we'll be back on Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about crypto, answering questions, and everything of that nature, seeing what's going on in the world. And so we might be talking about prediction markets if my account's all back up and ready. We might just be talking about the news, but we'll find out together probably on Friday. And so love you guys. Thank you so much for joining today. Please do hit the like button, leave a comment, all that type of fun stuff. If you know folks out there that need to be learning about it, send them the video or tell them they need to come hang out sometime soon. So with all that, once again, love you guys. I will see you on Friday. I see folks asking for prediction markets. I really want to do the prediction markets on Friday, so I think that's probably got the highest chance. But besides that, peace, y'all.